If I were here and I'm calling a James Bryan, a original manager, record site. Where would the kind of Secretary General Red Cross? So, I own about also Mr. New IFRC, International Red Cross, among NMC Ghana. Your trust in Mr. Emmanuel Opon, regional chairman, Red Cross. And upon platform Fred Inti on the National Development Officer. Red Cross to make it unity of fear, Abua. I say African Royal House, Educati. In terms IFRC, so Mr. Omba, not with Neposo. In IFRC, Canina, I bet you some 17. So I must say, Nanka, Mapam Aka, Sani,
Highness, we have a lot of appreciation for granting us this opportunity to come and meet you. Our objective is to come and share with you our actions in terms of climate change. We all acknowledge that climate change is impacting on our water resources, on our natural resources. It's making predictions become very difficult, and we appreciate that the Royal has a lot of impact in terms of driving issues around climate change. We know there's a lot of cultural attachment, there's a lot of religious attachment in terms of how our environment interacts. And with you, Royal Highness, we also know that you have the word and also the commitment that in terms of ecosystem protection, in terms of environmental protection, we will then actually be able to achieve a lot. We also know that a lot of the ecosystems or the environmental aspects that have actually enjoyed the leadership and the protection from the royal family are actually more sustainable in terms of long-term services. So in 2022, we had discussions and that was held in Johannesburg. And we felt that if we start to engage the royal houses of Lesotho, of Baganda, Zambia, and Ghana as a starting point, we will then begin to make progress in terms of bringing the cultural and then the royal aspect into assisting us to protect our environment. So the Red Cross is doing quite a lot in terms of mitigation, in terms of adaptation. And our feeling is that if it pleases you, Your Royal Highness, and nominate one of your key persons, a prince or a princess, so that they drive our agenda here in Ghana in terms of stewardship towards environmental issues, we will really enjoy the cultural support that actually issues around environment can enjoy. So that is our prayer to you, Royal Highness, for your consideration. But also as Red Cross, we have also a lot of things that we are performing in terms of our humanitarian programs. And within your kingdom, we have activities around Asantehene, where last year we were able to support 400 households for subsidized connections. So connecting households to safe water supply. We provided a 70% subsidy of the cost for 400 households. We also provided 100% subsidy to 50 households. So this year we are still there in Asantehene. We also plan to do another 400, but that will not be the end. We also plan in 2025 to be still there so that we can then assist our communities to access safe drinking water. But we are also working also around issues around hygiene promotion, so that safe water is not alone if you don't use it safely. So Your Royal Highness, I'll end there and submit to your advice and your counsel. Thank you.
Welcome you to the palace.
Zoom.
The Ghana Red Cross itself is doing so much for us here.
Zoom.
And therefore, it gratified my heart to have the International Federation also join in there.
Zoom.
For us to look at the overall situation about the environment and the climate change. It's something that is getting out of hand. Now we cannot predict when it's going to rain or anything. And then also human creation also is part of it.
Zoom.
The land, the soil, the way deforestation and everything.
Zoom.
Controllable. Interestingly, today I was at a tree planting situation where I had to plant a tree, and I've been doing that consistently for the past 4 years.
Zoom.
I also am concerned about that, and therefore, in terms of plantations, I'm doing some again in other parts of Ashanti, just to make sure that we have trees.
Zoom.
The last tree dies, and the last person also dies because oxygen and everything is not there.
Zoom.
Then again, it's also about how we look at the whole climate change situation. We are talking through no fault of ours in Africa.
Zoom.
If you talk about emissions and all those, how much we emit as
Zoom.
compared to the other bigger economies. We
Zoom.
are all affected together. They talk about giving money for climate change when they have the conferences in Copa in Egypt and all those promises, the money doesn't come.
Zoom.
So we find ourselves in the same situation, in the same cycle. And the environment is still deteriorating. So climate change is still gravitating at a higher speed that we cannot find solution to. I'm prepared to help because my heart is there and I'm always wanting for us to find a solution to it. Where we are now, if we don't, within the next 5 or 10 years, I have to be honest with you, we find ourselves without any water or anything. That is not being highlighted for people to know. We think as long as we get up and there's water, there's this and everything. But the danger is that we seem to be heading towards a disaster where in the next 10, 15, 20 years, where the stream of water that everybody even in the village could access to, it will be dry.
Zoom.
Mining has also become a problem. But then, why has it been that? It is our own creation, and therefore we all have to make sure that we will fight this together. In the olden days, the cultural aspects were very, very, you couldn't do things that you do now.
Zoom.
Because the family knew that on Tuesday, for example, you wouldn't go to farm. And therefore, why was it so? To preserve the land, to preserve the water. That is why there were buffer areas where you cannot even plant nearer to the water. But because of growth of the population and everything, the Owabi River here, where we had a buffer not to go near, people have built houses up to that point. The dual system of government and traditional system. The chief is responsible for the land, but the government also is responsible for giving permits for people to build.
Zoom.
So the planning of the village, the planning of the town, the urban areas and the villages are in the hands of government. And the chief is there. So you find people going to do mining without even the consent of the chief.
Zoom.
So how do we control it? So these are some of the issues that are coming up. We are now finding ourselves in a situation where we think in the olden days the style was primitive. And now in a modern situation we think that's what we are enlightened. But that's creating the problems for us that we have.
Zoom.
So seriously, yes, I would appoint someone to join in the crusade. But we also have to take it seriously and then formulate policies that we can talk to government about it, to say that, look, these are the issues that we need to resolve. Other than that, we will talk and find committees and policies and it wouldn't work.
Zoom.
National, the Red Cross Society has been doing so much charitable work and all that. And I know the International Federation is also prepared to do it. We can team up together. But teaming up and talking and doing committees will not be effective till we have a policy that can negotiate with the government to say that this is how the way forward is. And making it work so that there could be a legislative ally to it that says that you don't do this, you do this, and you do that. The EPA, for example, is what do they do?
Yo.
Environmental protection agency. They are supposed to give permits for people. If they have to give permit for the mining company to, do they visit to know what sort of construction they're doing there, the damage to the land, so these are issues that we need to face from it, and that is what is affecting the environment, and that is all about climate change. Because if the lifestyle of human beings, if we don't adopt policies that will help to our benefit in relation to the society we live in, and appreciate that a tree is more important for your living, I'm afraid we will still continue to do it. Now, what does the forest cover now in Ghana? If you the forest cover,
Yo.
concessions are given to people to do. Why don't we have a policy for them to replant every tree that they can? Well, that's where the issue is. So I'll be more than happy to support you. I can appoint someone for us to formulate policies together. But when we do that, it shouldn't be policy in the book, but we should be able to get the government to have the political will to support that so we can push it together.
Yo.
So I welcome you and I thank you very much for this. I said, talking to my brothers, the Kabaka, I can bring all of them together with the Kabaka. And then if you tell me, if you tell me that South Africa, for example, the Royal House, I can talk to them.
Yo.
I can talk to Morocco. I can talk to everybody for us to do that. Yes, but those of us, the non-head of state ones, if we formulate these policies, then we need the political will of the government to support us.
Yo.
I thank you for this visit. And then I will say that.
Você deve reconstruir você não sou uma das papas. Eu digo que sai no ia teacher no você está para não beto mais. Não sou homem. Você é o pai.
Tchau.